Good morning, everybody. Where's my camera? Hello. Where's my camera? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Curious. Camera's not working. I'm not really overly concerned about that. More worried about the audio. So let me know if you guys hear me okay. I'm going to see about sharing my screen. Let's try that entire screen. Boom, share. Okay, well, that works. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I'll keep going. If you can't see me, yeah, right? I don't know, Sean. It seems like it could be, man. Let me know if y'all are hearing me though, and then I'll keep going. Do. Hello, hello. Okay, yeah. There's a delay, so it took me a while before you can hear me. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Monday, May 5th, 2025. I, of course, am with Originator Success here with your. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if new scene camera. No camera. Camera off. Camera on. Okay, well, anyway, we'll keep going. This is weird. Bear with me a minute. I'm going to try something. This is kind of wigging me out here. Video, general. Some platforms might download the stream. Okay. FaceTime, camera. Try. Nope. It is. All right, well. Anyway, good morning, y'all. So great to have you here. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you're here live, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you're here. Don't forget to smash that like button, tag an hello friend, share this post in a group. I'm going to, let me see. I want to add an extra camera. Let's see. Please connect more in. Oh. I want to try something. Bear with me a minute. I'm doing one more thing here. Copy invite link. I'm still here, y'all. I'm here. Don't. Let's see. I am trying something here. Allow. Boo. All right, let me just make sure I don't have too much audio. There we go. All right, so you're only getting audio from one place. Hi, y'all. There we go. Okay. Anyway, we're going to get started. Let's get into the good stuff. And you guys will just have to go without seeing me today. So anyway, let's take a look here this morning. Recap. All right. Come on. Turn this on. Yeah, I don't need a millennial. I just need my computer. I need to restart something, and then I'll lose the whole stream. So don't worry about it. All right. So anyway, starting this morning, mortgage-backed securities down 7 basis points on the day. You can take a look here. So Friday, we lost ground on Friday. Pricing came out around 10 a.m. Right, we had already lost ground after the jobs data came out, and then we saw continued losses through the late morning into the early afternoon, and then a slight improvement, and it leveled off. There were not a lot of reprices worse on Friday. Let me know in the comments if you got reprices worse. I'm kind of curious. There were not a lot of reprices worse, though, surprisingly, which shows me that a lot of the losses, even though there were more losses to come, we got conservative pricing on Friday from lenders, and they had already baked it into the rate sheet, so we didn't have to see much of a move. I have to change screens to do my thirds here, so there you go. As far as this one, though, rate sheets today are likely to be a bit worse. We're looking at basically about a quarter point. When you take a look at it here using Mortgage News Daily as a reference point, this morning we're going to be about a quarter point. I'm sorry, not a quarter, an eighth of a point in rate worse than where we were at. Not huge, but certainly if you're the one footing the bill, the consumer, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that rates went up an eighth, but an eighth is not huge by any means in the big picture. As far as where we're trending, though, things really did turn on Friday. We saw a big move. So keep that in mind. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Reprice risk today is moderate. Bonds are trying to find some footing, but they're not finding it. If you want to take a look at the technicals here, arguably the 100-day moving average 99.13, we'd see some improvement here, but that's tentative at best. You could see that the technicals really have not played much of a role. We did get a bounce from the technical on Friday. If you take a look here, this big candlestick, we've got a body that did fall down. So we did get a little bit of a bounce on Friday, but not enough to get excited about. It's likely we could continue to lose ground this morning, which is why reprice risk on the day is moderate. Take a look at this 10-year Treasury yield, though, 4.33, well off that 4.17 that we saw in the best levels last week. Blew through the red and blue lines here, the 25 and 50-day moving average on Friday, and this morning closed above them. We're opening above them as well. So kind of signaling that things are going in the wrong direction. It's funny because, we've seen almost a full reversal from the original losses when it came to the tariff stuff. So Trump suggesting some trade deals may come as soon as this week. We're negotiating with many countries, but at the end of this, I set my own deals because I set the deal. They don't set the deal. People may hate him for that, but that's what makes him him and what makes him get the results that he gets. So we'll see where things go on there. But when you look at mortgage-backed securities, look at where, when we look at where we were all the way down here, 98.22, where we pushed up, it's very unlikely we'll fall back down to this level. But we could, depending on what happens at the Fed meeting tomorrow, we'll see some drop. Take a look again on Friday. There was a huge drop in expectations. We knew that the Fed meeting is this week, May 7th. We knew that there was like 0% expectation, basically, that we're going to get a rate cut. Right now, 98% probability from the markets. The Fed will leave rates unchanged at this meeting. There's no rate cut coming, but the expectation of a June cut flip-flopped. If you remember, we were at over 65% expectation we'd see a rate cut, and about a 1/3 that we wouldn't. That has now flopped. 1/3 that we will see a rate cut, and 2/3 that we will. Now, we could see this drop even more after the Fed meeting, and that might influence rates a little bit worse if we do see chances of a rate cut go down. Although we know that people are struggling in the real world, the economic reports are not showing enough pain to lead the Fed to cut. And like Ron has pointed out, this Fed and this Fed committee very much data dependent on the past data rather than being forward thinking on where they think things are going. I wouldn't disagree with that too strongly, but the current data, the jobs data, the economic data last week wasn't weak enough to really put the Fed in position to cut rates. But if you look by the end of the year, markets believe that we are still likely to see some kind of a recession or at least economic slowdown. We're at 4.25. Nobody thinks we're going to end the year at that Fed funds rate. The majority thinking we're going to see at least 3 cuts to 3.5 or 4 cuts to 3.25. Again, on average, you're going to see that the Fed's going to cut rates a 1/4 point rather than taking big cuts. But either way, they think that will be there. Now, if we did see 1/4 point cuts, that means that we'd have to see a July, a September, and October, and December. And if we look at July, that is when markets are now pricing in about a 75% expectation that we'll see a rate cut by July. So we'll see if any of this changes as we get to the Fed meeting this week. As far as lock advice goes, I would absolutely go ahead and I would definitely consider locking anything that's closing the next 15 days. There's just too much risk right now. The outlook, we need help from the Fed if we're going to see rates turn around, and it isn't likely. Markets are now down to about a 30% probability of a rate cut, like I showed you on the other screen. So consider locking is my advice. I just don't see a lot of benefit to floating in this environment for loans closing in the next couple of weeks, because between now and the Fed meeting, we could see rate sheets continue to creep worse. We're already down 8 basis points this morning. We go down another 8 or 10 or 15 basis points between now and the Fed meeting. You're just going to see that on rate sheets, and it's just right now unlikely that we get much of a punch. So, but if you don't lock today, then tomorrow I'm going to go to probably a floating stance, because at that point it's just not enough loss to see about moving. Ron said, Matt G said ISM manufacturing is important today. What makes that more important than normal? Do I agree with him? Ron, you know what? I don't really know. I can't turn my camera on to chat with you guys, but I am I'm out in Nashville for a live event, so I didn't really look at that much. He's probably saying that that's important because of all the other economic data that we've gotten recently, and because that one is going to be the less affected, in my mind, by the run that we've seen ahead of the tariffs. Um, it's the only relevant report before the Fed. So I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily any more important than any of the other economic reports we've gotten recently that have shown some economic strength. So unfortunately, in a spot. But anyway, my friends, well, thank you for joining me. I'm sorry that I can't get my camera on. Can't. I don't know why it doesn't want to wake up. So, but I think we hit all the main things. I will make this run, the trial run tomorrow, to see if it'll work again and refresh my computer and get everything to go, and we'll go from there. So anyway, hope you all have a fantastic day, and let's keep our fingers crossed, and we'll keep you posted. I'll see you tomorrow. Make it a great one. Bye bye.